Hi and welcome back. I'm Mary Jo, also known as Sojo, and this is my channel where I talk about all my quilty stitchy things. And today is September 8th, and this is my weekly update, number 77. So it has been a very busy week this week for me, especially on the channel. I think I've posted a video every day but yesterday, and I did my room tour, and now I'm into the Rediscovering My Stash series, which I'm going to put up every Tuesday and Thursday as I start going through all of my fabric, rediscovering it, and I'll bring you guys along and tell you what my plans are if I have any plans. So I will say my room tour this week, I got a lot of comments about my dishes that I have in here, and a lot of people are telling me you just need to use them. And you know what? I agree. I just need to get over my fear of breaking them and start using them. However, I can't move them into my kitchen because there's nowhere to put them. I don't have a lot of cabinets in the kitchen. I do have a pantry that's decent size, but my pantry is already full of appliances and and food and that sort of stuff. So they really don't have anywhere else to go right now. I do have a place I would like to put them. However, my husband and I are not in agreement on that at the moment. But I do agree I need to start using them. I mean, just sitting here not getting any use, it's like I don't have them anyway. So even if I did break one and couldn't use it, well, it's kind of doing the same thing I have now. So I do agree I just need to get over and start using them. And let's see, I did get a question this week about pantographs. Let me get one. So I have this pantograph right here. I'm unrolling it a little bit. And I had a couple questions about, do you just put that on the quilt and quilt over it? And no, that's not how you do a paper pantograph. Now, a pantograph can also be digital form, and it's a computerized, and then they just go over it. And yes, I quilted this week, but we'll go over that in a minute. But this pantograph, you actually lay it on the back of the long arm. There's like a little shelf area that you lay it across. And then there's a laser light on the back of the long arm that points down onto it. So the laser light in the back of the long arm will be pointing to this, where the actual stitching in the front of the long arm will be where the quilt is. So as you take the laser light over the lines, that's what you do, you just trace over the lines with the laser lights. It is stitching the quilt in the front. And that's how you do a pantograph. Now, I know there are some products out there where there's papers that you use for like your domestics machines and you stitch over them. This is not what this is. If I were to lay this on my quilt and stitch over it, well, that means this would be a one-time use only. And there are several rows that you quilt into that quilt. So you would have to buy several of these to get one quilt. And I think the quilt behind me has 8 or 9 rows. So you would have to buy 8 or 9 of these. And yeah, that just would not be economical at all. But these you use over and over again for the rows and then for other quilts. So it's kind of a one-time purchase. Now, I don't know if that explained it exactly, but no, we do not put this on the quilt and stitch over it. That's not how the pantograph works. Okay, so let's see, what else? Oh, when am I rediscovering the stash? I had you guys comment on what projects you guys would like to see me do, and let me show you some of them and what I plan on doing with all of them. So this is the Sew in Love. I think this is the applique version. There's also a piece version in here, which is what I'll be doing. So I will be doing this Sew in Love, but that is going to take the place of this Rose and Bloom block of the month. So after I get this Rose and Bloom all done, then that's when I'm going to start on this Sew in Love. So that is what I'm doing there. And then the other things that people had commented on was this Elizabeth Hartman pattern, Swan Island. So I plan on doing that. And how I plan on doing this is just my regular rotation of quilts I work on. When I get done with one of those is when I'll start putting this in. Now, I have several sew sampler projects that I work on, and when I get those sew sampler projects done, I do replace those with other in my long line of sew samplers that are in order. But I have other quilts, like when they're done, I'll throw this in, and then the enchantment, because I know my blues, and then my mom liked this one. So the sea stars. And then I got a comment today about the greenery pattern too. So I'll pull those out and I'll start incorporating those as I finish some of my other projects. Like I said, the sew samplers and my creative notion projects, I'm going to keep those in my rotation because I would really like just to get the creative notions projects done, and the sew samplers, I'm already a few years behind. I don't want to get any farther behind. So that's what I plan on doing with that. Now I have already recorded my next Rediscovering My Stash. It'll come out Tuesday. I go through the other 2 cube bins that are on top of my shelving unit. So that will be coming out tomorrow. Also, I have another video coming out, which will be my last package that I bought in August. See what I bought there. I am still doing good on my no buy in September. I'm trying my best not to look at any sales so I don't be tempted. Now, let's see what I've done. So as you already see, I quilted this week. This is the legendary pattern from Elizabeth Hartman that has the Bigfoot in it. And I quilted it with a pantograph that has Bigfoot and trees in it, just like the pantograph, or just like the quilt. Well, they're a little bit different, but it has trees and Bigfoot in it. We'll go in and take a closer look at it. Now, the interesting thing on this quilt when I was doing the pantograph, and I'll show you when we get there, but this Bigfoot right here, the Bigfoot on the pantograph is actually quilted right through that Bigfoot. So I just find that interesting. That Bigfoot is quilted on the Bigfoot. Now they are facing opposite directions, so the pantograph faced that way and the quilt faced that way, but it's still interesting. All right, let's go look at it. Okay, so there's the top of the quilt, and we're going down. And can you start to see the Bigfoots right there? There's one, there's one, there's one. And we go down a little bit further. And there's my Bigfoot. And there he is, quilted right in my pieced Bigfoot, which I find interesting. All right. Now, when I made this pattern, their pattern just called for all one color for the trees, one fabric, where I made mine multiple, made it a little bit more scrappy looking, which I kind of like better. And we're just going down. See the trees. Well, that circle there didn't come out too well, but that's okay. So that's what I quilted on the long arm. The only thing left now is to do the binding. Now I did mention that one circle that I said didn't come out too well. It's okay, because once you step back, you don't notice that. So that's the good thing about once you get all the quilting done, all the piecing, those little mistakes, they kind of fade in the background, so you don't know. And the binding is going to be the brown that's in that Bigfoot. That's what the binding is going to be. So that's all I have left to do on that quilt. So let's talk about what else I have done. Well, as you know, I have been working on this Leaders and Enders project. And this Leaders and Enders project, all these pieces came from my Cotton Cuts Gnome of the Months that I did last year. And there had so many like half square triangles in it, pieces that you put together, and then other like 2.5-inch squares. And because those projects from Cotton Cut all came pre-cut, and I had a bunch of those things left over. So I decided to start putting those into a quilt, and I am almost done with that Leaders and Enders project. I did add my own background and my white. The only thing I have left to do is literally sew this, which is the top border and the bottom border. It is pinned down. It just has to go to the sewing machine. So I'll show you what this looks like. This is what I did with it. And then in the corners, I added these. So that is all done. So it's basically, you know, just like a free quilt from all those other things that just had to add some extra background to, which I always have lots of that. Now I still have to do a binding, which I'll probably just make like a black binding to go around it. What else? So since that was my Leaders and Enders project, I'm going to still continue doing a Leaders and Enders project, and I had to figure out what was my next Leaders and Enders project. Well, my husband's coworker had given him these Crown Royal bags, and I know lots of people have made quilts out of them. I think it's like a whiskey or something drink. I don't know. I don't drink it. But I have all these bags. I don't have a lot of them. I think I had 14 or 15. So I've started taking and cutting the bags apart. We got this and this, and I have green and orange. And I've made some half square triangles. Here we go. And I fussy cut the center out. So I'm basically going to make a star around this Crown Royal to make a star. And then I'm going to use opposite color. Well, put this is a dark gray. I'm going to put this around. And then I'm going to use this color to put some accent pieces around or something like that. So that's kind of what I'm working on for my Leaders and Enders project, and we'll see how that goes. So I worked on that. And then I've also started working on my little test blocks for my What Will I Make series. Now this coming week I should say, I plan on doing the next block in the Rose and Bloom, which is month 8. And then the following week I plan on doing another What Will I Make series. And that's just where I take some sort of pre-cut and make a quilt using some sort of free pattern or tutorial off the internet. And so far I've only used Missouri Stars tutorials. So just a little quick peek at what I'm doing so far. That's kind of a block. Now I won't be using this fabric. It was just what I had at the moment. So I plan on doing that. This, like I said, was just a test block. So that should be coming up soon. I was getting that figured out. And then what else did I work on piecing? Well, let me pull them out here. Now this is a half pack quilt that I worked on that I got when I did the, I think I got this from the Shop Hops last year. I'm not sure. Actually, I think this was from the Shop Hop we did in Indiana. So that's been like a year and a half ago. But what these are in the quilt shops, and they're 5 half-yard cuts of fabric that come in a pack, and then you get to pick out a pattern to go with it. And this pattern is called the Spin Me Round pattern. I can't show the pattern up because it shows all the diagrams and dimensions and stuff of the quilt. So, but basically this quilt just alternates between pinwheels and 4-patch blocks. So it's a simple quilt. And we have some sashing between those pinwheels and 4 patches. All right. So let me show you where I am. Now where I am is I've got the sashing pinned to the rows. So I've got it all pinned together in one big quilt top. So I just need to do some sewing to sew those sashing rows down. And then when I'm done with that, I have to add these borders, which those borders are already sewn, but the borders are just a big long strand of the different fabrics. So those would be the right and left borders. So I almost have that done. See, and there's my pins, pinning all the sashing together. Okay, now like this quilt, and next I'm going to show you, those are bee quilts that once I'm done, I will replace with the quilts that people had commented about from the Rediscovering My Stash series that they'd like to see done. So as I get these done, we'll start working those other quilts in. Then I worked on this pattern called Encompassed, and I am doing the queen size, completely different fabrics right here, and I'll show you where I am. Now this is more like a medallion style than just a bunch of borders done. So the center of this quilt has all been completed for a little bit now, and I'm just adding border after border after border on. So here we are. This is where I am. Now these are mostly all batiks. There is, I think, 1 or 2 fabrics in here that are not batiks, but they look like batiks from a distance, so I threw them in there. So here we are. And like I said, that is a border that's pinned on. And we are coming to the center of the quilt. And that's where I am with that. So still got a little bit to go on this one. Now, some of those borders that have to be pieced, those borders are already pieced together. It's just a matter of adding the border onto the quilt top. So, and then I've got a couple more quilts tops I worked on. I've had a lot that I've worked on this week. I feel like I've kind of been everywhere, all over the place, as far as my sewing and quilting goes. Now, I will say it's what a difference a week makes. Last week I was talking about the heat wave, and this morning it is very chilly today. So we're starting to see that fall weather, even though fall doesn't officially start until later in the month. It's getting warmer now that it's in the day, but it was really cold this morning, or at least I think it was. All right. So let's move on to the next two. So this next one is a panel quilt, and it's called the Flower Market. So I'm just adding basically borders on. And also this pieced border right here, those piece borders, all the pieces are sewed together. It's just a matter of adding the border on when I get to it. But I will show you where I am so far. Again, this is just another quilt that's going to be border after border after border until it's done. So here is where I am so far. So I got that pinned on, so that will come up, and then I have another border of this stripe that goes all the way around it. And there we go. Now, these borders right here, they were supposed to be mitered. However, I didn't want to do a mitered border right there, so I just put it on straight, and it's okay because it's my quilt and I can do what I want. And a pattern is just a suggestion anyway, and you can change it any way you want, and that's how I change this. Now I have done like the mitered borders before, but I just didn't want to this time. And then, like I said, here are some borders, some of those pieced borders when I get to them. Like, here's one. Like I said, those are already all sewn together. It's just a matter of adding the border on when we get there. Okay, next quilt. Okay, now we're on with the Meet the Makers quilt. Now, I had hoped to get all the blocks finished by the time I did this weekly update, but that just didn't happen. And it's okay. You know, I ended up having to work Friday night, and it was a horrendous shift. And then yesterday, we were gone at my husband's coworker had a birthday party that we went to, so I just didn't get to it. But that's okay. But it's what I did work on, though. Meet the Makers. And I've shown these before. There is an alternate block and then 4 different blocks. And the alternate block is all done in different color ways throughout the quilt. So here's the alternate block, and I've shown this block many times before. It has different colors, greens, yellows, corally, and so on. I've shown that before. And then block 1, I've shown this before finished. I will show you that. This is block 1. And block 2, I had shown you the last time because I'd finished it the last time I showed you this. So that's block 2. And then I did finish block 3 this week. There we go. There's block 3. And then we have block 4. And this is where I am on block 4. As you can see, I've got these flying geese pinned down on each side. So that's where we are. And then after I do that, I have to add, oh, those aren't cut. Well, still got these in a chain. Just got to add those top and bottom units to make that star. And then all of those blocks will be done, and I can start putting it into a quilt top. Okay, so I think that maybe everything I worked out about sewing and quilting. Oh, I did work on some more of my cross stitch pillows, but I'll show you that when we get to cross stitch, which I will do in just a second as soon as I come back. Let me put all this stuff up. Okay, so here are what my cross stitch pillows are looking like. They're in my little dough bowl type thing. Now, as you can tell, I still have this pillow that I tried to give away last week, but the winner never contacted me, so we're going to try this again. I picked a new winner, and this winner is Carol Harris. Carol Harris 5456. Now I know YouTube is the one that puts those numbers behind your names, but Carol Harris, please send me an email at sewjoquilts@gmail.com and I will send this to you. I just need to know where to send it. So send me your address, and if your name's different than what your YouTube name is, just let me know and I will get that in the mail for you. So Carol Harris, send me an email, please. Okay. So, and then as you can see, I got my February ones finished. Now last week I just had to sew the bottoms together, which is what I did. So I'm going to give one of these away this week as well. So what I need to do, if you're interested in winning one of my February little pillows, just comment down, let's see, we'll just go with the color red, R-E-D, because there's red in there for February. So just put a comment down in the comments, red, let me know you're interested, and it will be entered, possibly win, which I will announce next week. Now, you will have to have a U.S. shipping address and be over 18, just because I will be asking for an address to send them to. But like I said, I will announce that winner next week, and that winner will then have another week to claim it before I will pick another winner. So just red, comments down below, R-E-D. And Carol Harris, sewjoquilts@gmail.com. My email is always in the description box down below, and I'll see if I can't put it across the screen right here. Okay, so what else did I work on? Well, I worked on trying to get some more of my pillows done. Let's see, I'm missing some. Hold on just a second. Okay, so I know you can't see much because I've got them pinned together. So this is my March and my, April pillows. I just hiccuped in the middle there. My March and April pillows. Now, I do put some SF101 interfacing on the back of my cross stitches before I make them into pillows. But this is where I am, so I just need to sew all the way around and then flip them out. So I have my 2 March and my 2 Aprils, and maybe I'll be giving them away next week. Okay, so sew them, flip them, stuff them, and then sew the ends of them up. And then I was working on my June 9-patch series. This is June 9-patch right here. And I think I had one finished last week, and I finished the others. And then, so that means I'm halfway done through the 9-patch because June is the 6th month. Then I started working on July. And I did get one of the Julys done. So there's my July. And at first, I didn't know what these were supposed to be. Those are firecrackers. Oh well. And here's where I started on the others. Not much progress. You can only see the white there. So that's where I am on the July, and that's where I am on my cross stitching. Now, my sweater. Let me show you my sweater. I did bring the pattern this week so I can show you. This is from Yarnspirations, and it is the Summer Evening Crochet Cardigan. There we are. Now they had used a variegated yarn. I didn't want to use a variegated yarn. I used 2 different yarns to make a stripe pattern. And the yarn is 100% cotton, and it's cotton DK weight. Now this is yarn that I had just sitting in my stash that I had bought on a clearance on Hobby Lobby a while ago. And I'll show you where I am. So last week I had basically like a vest. Had it like a vest, and I'd started working on the sleeves. Well, I had finished the sleeves. Here's the sleeve. I'd sewn up the sleeves right there. There's the seam. And yes, I matched up the stripes. And then I have the sleeves sewn in. Over here, I got this sleeve sewn in too. So now, the only thing I have left to do is to do down, I have a ribbing that I need to make that goes all the way down the front and up along the neck and down the other side. And then my sweater will be done. And yes, the ribbing will be the pink ribbing on the cuffs and the bottom. I think it's turning out very good. Seems how I just threw some of the yarns together since I didn't have enough of a variegated or any yarn. So the stripes worked out well. Okay, and then one other thing, my diamond painting. Let me show you where I am. All right, this is my diamond painting. I'm almost finished with this section right up here. Still got a few more areas I need to fill in, but we're getting there. And I think this diamond painting came from Dreamer Designs, and there's a picture of it. Not that you can see it very well, of what it's supposed to look like. And this is Sledding to Town by Chunk Pinson. So there we are. You can see him on the snow and the sledding down through there. Okay, so that is everything that I have worked on this week. Until next time, bye!